Hello, Internet user. My name is Gary of Gary Swears. I make wooden pipes out of exotic hardwoods. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the CC01 Mini-Lathe Machine that I got from GearBest.com. If you want the short answer, I like it. If you want the long answer, you have to watch the rest of the video. Here is the CC01 Mini-Lathe Machine with all the stuff that came in the package. Which includes a chuck key, which is for the chuck, obviously. This little hex key, the little one is for the bit on the tailstock to adjust this and to get it out. I don't know what this bit is called, but what it does is it sort of drills into the wood a little bit until you get to the sort of the countersink area of it, and then it will spin the wood. It's a little sticky right now. I just put some WD-40 on it. I don't know why it's sticking. It's made a little better now. Okay. The carving tool, whatever they call it. When this came in the packaging, and the packaging was pretty sorry. They didn't put much effort in it. But I think I've seen other videos, and apparently there's supposed to be a little piece of styrofoam stuck on the end of this. Well, there was a piece of styrofoam in there that had a hole in it, but it was just like floating around in the package. Anyway, this is a really good tool. I was thinking, like, do you only need one? Don't you need more than this? But no, this does a pretty good job. This and sandpaper will do just about anything you need. This, which the website calls a fixed thimble, and that grips the wood. And you stick it in the chuck and it grips the wood, and this is what actually spins it. And more about this later. And this big hex key. This big hex key does a lot in this. You really can't operate this machine without this hex key, because this hex key tightens the tailstock, which, you know, is very important. It tightens the tool rest, which is important. And if you ever want to get into here for whatever reason, it unscrews this and like that. So this is very important. Now, one of the things that is a concern with this is sort of obvious, is it doesn't weigh very much, so it's not very heavy, therefore it needs to be secured somehow. I use clamps, but there's another solution. This is an aluminum track that it's mounted on. What you could do is you can get the right size bolt to fit in there, and if you have like a wooden bench like this, get one of these. And again, I hate that I don't know what one of these is called, but get one of these, and what this does is you drill a hole and you'll be able to screw this bit in, which is threaded on the inside, which will let you screw things into that, and that way it will be recessed in your bench, and you won't it won't be in the way, and it'll be there when you need it. I don't have the right size bolts, so I couldn't do that. But that's one way to do things. I mean, that would keep it from going anywhere at all. That would be good. One thing that just happened to me is these little pads. One of them kind of fell off, and I realized that could be an issue. If they fall off, if it's not level, that could be a problem. One of the other things I don't like about it is they give you these tools and stuff, but they don't give you anywhere to put them, and I don't like it when manufacturers do stuff like this, because if you lose, say, this big hex key, you're pretty well hosed. There's nothing you can do about it. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to make this, turn this from a hex key into a T-handled hex key, by turning a piece of wood on the lathe and then doing more stuff with it. Now, the kind of stuff you could do right away, this I made right away, and this it's a good lathe. It's really good for the price. I also made a teeny tiny little baseball bat. One concern is, if I don't know much about working with lathes, but I'm pretty sure that most people will tell you to go with the grain, and you're gonna have to do that with this, because if you start off with a piece of scrap that's against the grain like I did, it'll go to pieces on you. In order to load stock into this effectively, what you've got to do is I took a 3/8 inch drill bit and I drilled in to just deep enough so that the concave part of the bit drills in and not any farther. Then I took this the fixed thimble bit, and I took a hammer like this one and I pounded the crap out of it and got it to stay in there. If you don't do this, it won't stay in there and it'll just spin and it'll make things a lot harder. You'll have to take away that bit of stock, and it's just best to just pound the crap out of it. Pound it this way and then flip it over and go to something metal and then pound it that way. So now on to more action. I've already tried twice to make the handle for this hex key, and twice I have failed. See? Twice I've done this. So I've come up with a design that I think is going to work. And what I've done is, now these first two, I actually turned those pieces, but I got really tired of doing that. And so I had a 3/4 inch dowel just laying around. So what I did is, first thing I did is I drilled a hole here. Then I drilled the tenon down through here. Then I drilled a hole here. And that lets me slide the hex key like that. Then I drilled a Forster bit with a Forster bit, a hole in the middle, and then a little one right there, so that when it goes together like this, come on, get in there. Hold on. And there we go. I'm going to glue this together and sand it, and hopefully this will work. Here it is the next day, sanded with a coat of finish on it. I think this is going to work out a lot better than the other ones. Just take a look at the grain on this. On the oak, it's much tighter. On the southern yellow pine, it's all over the place. It's super wide, which means it's not very dense and therefore not as strong. I think this is going to last a long time. It's kind of bummed because I was hoping to use wood that I turned on the lathe to use on the tool that I use for the lathe, but that just wasn't in the cards. Anyway, so now I've got these tools that I use all the time. The little hex key I don't use that often, and I've got nowhere to put these things. They're floating all over the place. And so, oh, look at this. I changed out the pads on the bottom because they were all over the place, just not very good. So I need a place to put my tools for the lathe, and normally what I do is I store it like this, standing up. So whatever I come up with, that has to I have to work that into it as well. So my plan is to put a hole about here. So this will slide right down in there when I'm not using it. The hex key, I'm going to get to about like this. I don't want to block these vent holes because I imagine they're probably pretty useful. They have a purpose. So I'm going to make a piece of wood so that I can stick this about here. And then for the chisel, I'm going to make it so it sticks about right here. That way that when you're loading things up and changing things around, it's not in the way, because if you put it here or here, something like that, then it could be problematic, and we want to avoid problems. So here we go. There's the organizer that I put on the side. You can see it holds the chisel in like that, like that, and the chuck key, and I put the hex key up here. I also put little pads on the bottom since I store it like this, and look at that. So next up, I'm going to show you what I can make. Here's my setup. I've got a clamp here, We've got a piece of cherry loaded up, and I'm ready to go. What I'm going to try to make is one of these. This is an earplug, not the kind you listen to, but the kind you stick in your earlobes. I'm going to make a pair of plugs for my sister. Hopefully they will fit. I'll be using this, and this is a gauge, I guess. And I need to make this part right here 2G. So let's see how I do. All right. So, what I'm going to do, so here, this one and this one are the proper size. Two, and two. Yep, pretty tight. And so, this cove and this cove and this cove are just for me to mark it. So, let's see what it looks like when it's done. There they are done, and they're shiny, but are they a success? I'll have to wait on my sister to find that out. So, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make one of these. It's called a drip tip, and it goes on vaporizers. I'm going to make it out of a piece of Cocobolo. So, there it is. Now I just have to drill some very careful holes. And it was a success! Hooray! So, if you're like me, and you don't really have any experience with lathes, the instructions that come with this are literally in Chinese. They don't. They won't help you unless you actually can read Chinese. The way you do this is you've got this tool and it's got a rounded edge that rests on the tool rest, and the more parallel you want to be parallel to the ground to cut. If you notice, the tip and the tool rest, the tip of the tool and the tool rest come right to the center of the chuck. And so what really matters is the angle of your tool. So this cuts, this not so much, and you just go back and forth like this. But as you can see, it makes a big mess, and so this place needs to be cleaned up. That's better. So I like this tool. I think it's really good. I picked this up for like $50. I think it's going to pay itself off in no time. I would recommend this. Yeah. So I hope you got something out of this video. And if you've been wondering who I am, well, my name is Gary of Gary's Wares, and I make wooden pipes out of exotic hardwoods. That's an 8-inch pipe with tulip wood and kingwood with the cool sapwood in it. That's an 8-inch chillum with a whole bunch of different stuff in it. This is one of my newest things. It's a monkey pipe, and it's made for smoking on the go, and it's got a little stash bowl there for storing smokables, and it folds up, and it's good. If you like my stuff and you like what you've seen, hit me up. My name is Gary, and I am out.